Hey, what's up? I'm Joel Madden, and this is Artist Friendly. On this episode, I'm talking to Grammy-nominated drummer Aric Impota. Let's go.
That's my kind. I don't want no bad times. I don't want to have bad.
The thing about this show that makes it unique is like it really does feel like we're in the studio or we're like at dinner talking for the most part. You know what I mean? And so I feel like if you come in and then we catch up and then we sit down, sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. So I always have to feel it out.
I'm sure it's weird when you have that catch up and then they're like, go. And you're like, all right, let's repeat
Now
all the things.
Let me ask you some questions.
Yeah, totally.
So sometimes my friends will come in here and I'll be like, yo, let's not talk until we sit down.
Right.
And they're like, cool. Or they're like, that's weird. And they're like, okay, let's talk. So, you have to feel it out.
Yeah, I actually, I think this is the third time I've been here, but obviously we haven't met.
Yeah.
First time was with Zach, and I think it was like the week he came here.
Yeah.
So shout out to Zach because he was going off to do his own thing. I know you guys like reached out right away.
Yeah.
And I hit him with a project that I don't think anybody ever wants to mix. I just finished a 40-minute drum solo.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know very many people that want to mix that, let alone listen to it, but it was for this like performance art piece in Germany, and he was down and killed it, and it sounds incredible. And then me and Steve, the old Guitars to Fever, came in to do some work with Zach and Poppy. So those are the two times I cruised through, but this place is sick.
Thanks.
Like I'd love to like record here, like just making music. Like the way that you guys have everything set up is such a good vibe to kind of like explore and do things that don't really feel like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel sterile like a lot of the other studios I've been to, I guess.
Thank you. It's been like 9 years of trying.
9?
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know you guys were doing this that long.
Yeah, 9 years of trying. We've been in this building for 8.
That's awesome.
And we actually ended up buying this studio from Will Smith, which was so cool.
Is he a cool dude?
Oh my God, he's so cool.
That's like the last person I would have expected that you bought the studio from.
Yeah,
how did that whole switch off happen?
He like had this studio. It was called the Boom Boom Room for years, and he did like the Fresh Prince albums here, and all the Will Smith stuff.
Yeah.
I don't actually think it was called Fresh Prince. The albums were. I just call it the Fresh Prince album. Will Smith as a rap artist, he did his his iconic records here.
Gotcha.
I guess I just call him Fresh Prince because I was such a fan of the show.
No, but I would assume like when you say that, you mean like the Men in Black soundtrack and stuff like that.
Yeah, all that stuff, all the Will Smith stuff was
Yeah.
done here. And obviously DJ Jazzy Jeff, who's like legendary DJ for any DJ fans. The Boom Boom Room, he bought it. He recorded here. Jada had a heavy band, like she did metal. And she recorded here. And then the studio, they opened it up and it was just running as a studio. When they weren't recording, everybody recorded here. I mean, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Justin Bieber, Wiz Khalifa. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Like,
so did you guys come through here at that time?
We had worked here. Me and Benj worked here with like, maybe it was Swedish House Mafia. We were writing with someone here.
Okay.
And I mean, everybody worked here. There were so many artists here. It was insane. Like Christina Aguilera recorded here. There were just so many records made here. And when we worked here, I remember thinking, wow, this is such a cool vibe. This place has such a cool vibe. I would love to have a place like this one day.
Yeah.
That's the dream. And then the studio was coming on the market. They were selling it, I guess, after probably 2 decades or something of a long time of owning this place. Anyways, they were selling it. And my friend who's a commercial real estate person was like, hey, there's a great studio coming to the market. And he sent us the link for before it was on the market.
Yeah.
And we were like, holy shit, that's the Boom Boom Room.
Yeah.
The place we worked. We'd been here like 3 times. And we came for the open house that they were having, and it was just packed. And we went up to the real estate agent, and he's like, yeah, we got like 10 offers.
That's what I was about to ask. So this was an open house for people that were like considering buying.
Yeah, like buyers. It was just going on the market. It was just going on the market.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh man, And this was 8-9 years ago. He was like, you could of course make an offer, but it's going to be really competitive. And we were like, okay, cool. And then we huddled up and we were like, should we, if we make an offer? And I was like, I know one of his best friends is also one of my father-in-law's best friends. This guy, Al Silfen. He's a incredible photographer, like sick photographer, has photographed everyone. Like he's a famous photographer, but he's one of my father-in-law's best friends. And I've known him for years, just through the family.
Yeah.
And I was like, Al's close with Will. Maybe I can just call him and see if we have a shot to just like ask Will.
Right.
If he'll sell it to us. And I called Al and he was like, I'm with Will right now.
No shit.
Let me call you back. I'll ask him. And he was like, Will, the Madden brothers are at the studio. It's going on the market. He's like, yeah, we're selling it. And he's like, they want to buy the studio. He's like, I love those guys. Yeah. Sell it to him.
No way.
It was like,
just like that.
He was like, I'll tell the realtor that they want to buy it and to sell it to him.
See,
and
that's such a trip. Like,
it was so cool.
And then you specifically remember this place being one where you came and you were like, damn, this is such a cool vibe. Like, I want something like this.
I said, actually, I would love to own this place one day.
Okay.
But in my mind, I said, but that's probably not possible. So a place like it.
Right. Okay. So the reason I'm asking this is like, I'm sure you've had a ton of these experiences given the amount of time that you've been working in this industry. But
yeah,
those moments when like, it's exactly like you presented. You're sitting there and you have it and it's like this brief feeling like that'd be cool. But at the current place you're at, you're kind of just like, but I don't know when that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then you have the moment where you get the studio, right? That like jump of time, like it's almost like and my wife was actually listening to Amy Poehler's audiobook recently.
How long have you been married?
1 year.
Oh, wow.
But we've been together for 14 years.
Congrats.
Thank you. And she was listening to her audiobook and she was talking about how she thinks that's her experience with time travel, is being super focused in a moment. And then like you leave it. And when you come back to it and it's like fast forward, you get like propelled back to the moment you first felt that way at that space.
The inception point.
Yeah. And I've had that a lot. So that's why I'm curious. Like, it's so cool to hear that. Cause like last month I filled in for Goldfinger and I remember I'd done it like a few years back and then I'd done touring with Fever and I came back and just did it this month. But the first time that I was sitting in with them, learning their like cover of 99 Red Balloons,
yeah,
I totally forgot that at like the age of 12, I downloaded that song illegally on like LimeWire. And that was one of the first songs I heard where in my head, I was like, damn, I want to drum in a punk band. Like I want to play a song like this in front of a bunch of kids with my friends. And I totally forgot about it. And then on stage while I was playing, like,
you remembered it.
Yeah, I look at my hands and I was like, holy shit, it's happening. So you having that moment with this studio, it's awesome, but it's also cool to hear that you're still having those in your career, even, 15, 20, 25 years in.
Yeah, because I got to say, that's how everything in my life has worked.
Really?
Everything.
That's awesome.
And I think that's like what people would say, like manifestation. We don't really kind of complete the thought when we just say manifest it.
Right.
Because I think the idea of manifesting something is thinking it, but then the actual practical value of manifesting is the work.
Right, totally.
Towards the thing. And if you just think about the end game every day while you're working, you might get overwhelmed or underwhelmed and you might quit. So I think forgetting is a good thing.
Yeah, I could see that being the case. Because like there's a deeper side of this, right? Like that your life is going to be creating. Your life is going to be making music. And if it gets you this studio or a bigger studio or a smaller studio, it's kind of besides the point. It's like, this is the journey you're on. But when it lines up like this, I'm sure it's a cool reminder that you're taking all the right steps to do the stuff that you set out to do.
I think we have what are like these verification moments where we're verifying what we thought or what we hoped or what we believed.
Totally.
So I think these are these bigger verification moments, but there's also small ones and you'll miss them if you aren't looking. If you're, like I said, if you only think of the big goal,
right.
You miss the little verification moments along the way. Like, let's say someone is trying to improve something in their life, right? Maybe that's their financial situation. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time. I always say that to my kids, like, doesn't happen overnight. And they're like, we know, Dad, it happens over time. They get tired of hearing it, but the incremental gains are the most important gains we can make.
Totally.
I think in the journey towards the big gain, which is it's like putting money in the bank every day. It's healthy to look at the balance to make sure you're right side up. But if you don't look, if you only focus on that balance, it's not going to grow fast enough for you.
Right.
So you have to like check in on it every once in a while and go, are we still in line? Are we still heading up towards that mountain we're trying to climb?
No, but I think the reality check side of it's what's important, right? Because like you can also fall in love with the art and totally lose sight of where you are in life
And
in
where
your
you're
career.
going. Yeah. You can be directionless.
Totally.
If
and
you,
then
yeah.
on the other side of that, when you're just checking your bank account, sometimes you forget to make any art because you're just trying to sell whatever the last thing you did was. So I do think
Exactly.
I agree with you. And I think
you lose the feeling of like also the joy part of life where you like enjoy what you're doing.
totally.
And like sometimes it is good to go spend money.
I'm curious now that we're talking about this, how do you regulate those time periods? Because I've found I do like an intense 6 months of creating and then an intense 6 months of showing the world that thing and finding out like how to make what I created connect with people. But do you have it like, is it kind of like always going at the same time or does it feel like it trades off?
I think that's a really good question. I think that, and I don't know if I have an answer. I think I have a perspective of all I can say is over time, is my life better or
Okay.
worse?
Yeah.
And then if it's better, I think I'm on track.
Right.
And if it's worse, I'm not on track. And then if we can put together a few years of better, then we really start to get some momentum in better. And I think that like people get used to better a lot faster than they get used to worse.
Definitely.
And so we hold on to better with all of our might.
Yeah.
And that allows us to do better and better and better. I also believe that all growth is chaotic. So none of it's organized. There can be like an organization to the chaos, but in the organization, there's just chaos during growth. And so when you haven't gotten used to that chaos during the growth periods, it'll freak you out.
Definitely see that.
I think I've seen it with all of our companies.
Yeah.
Whenever they grow, it's a little chaotic, and people that are a little newer are like, "Oh my God, I'm a little shook."
Right.
And you're like, "No, trust me, we're going up. It's just chaotic because there's a lot of opportunity, and we've got to sift through what's the right opportunity, the wrong opportunity, like all the nuance, right?"
Yeah.
The time frame of like what you're saying, I create for 6 months, I promote for 6 months, right?
In general, try to
Call it promotion or whatever.
Right,
you call
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Show the world, but I call it promotion, right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Just to label it. But you may create for 3 months and promote for 6 months, or you may create for 6 months and promote for 3 months.
Right.
And you might find the balance is as you get more and more time behind you, you have to watch the game tape and go like, what part did we, like, how do we optimize everything we're doing? And so like how much of that 6 months do I think I really made an impact? And
Right.
how much of it do I feel I was just overexerting myself out of anxiety?
Right.
And then if I can like really thoroughly like watch back the game tape and with no judgment of myself, good or bad,
Yeah.
and just go like, I feel like the 4 of those 6 months were really impactful.
Right.
The other 2, I was just anxious and I really wanted to force a result that I didn't get or that I wanted to get. And
Totally.
like there is like I always say like the nuance of all of this is like it's the magic part that everyone, like the things we can't control.
Right.
We could predict they might happen, but we can't control when those moments happen. And like I may be over promoting for the 6 months, I might have just been 3.
Right.
And I may burn myself out if I'm not like in touch with, and all of that just comes from experience. It's just being willing to like step back and go like, let's analyze this. What did we do right? What did we maybe just like, how did we use our time?
Totally.
And like, I don't know that we're like good at that yet, but like we try.
I was gonna say is I feel like for the time you've been doing this, you have to get it like honed in at a certain point and like at least look back like you're saying and be able to like honestly reflect like, okay, 2 of those months were super efficient.
And the rest, the 4, I was just anxious. I was just trying to force people to look at my thing. And
Right,
so you
right.
find like the ebbs and flows, you find the give and the take, you find the like, oh, lean in, it's time to lean in. And sometimes you could be in a creative moment and something pops off.
Right.
And you might go, I got to lean in, I got to go out and promote this. And you got to find the balance there.
That's a hard lesson to learn.
And try to be flexible to like the chaotic nature of growth.
Absolutely. No,
You
I
know?
think your point, there's a really cool quote, by the way, that says chaos is the law of nature and order is a dream of man. And I think about
Love
it.
that. That's a great quote. Who said that?
Dude, I need to check back. I have a National Geographic book that like goes
That's dope.
through different like periods of like nightlife. And that's like one of the big quotes in there. And I think about it, especially in the creative process, because you're right. Like you could be in like this moment where you feel so inspired and you're sitting there like, I have like sometimes 8-hour drum days where I'm like,
That's crazy.
This is where I need to be to figure out like I don't know if you have this be a little bit of a tangent, but like you're working on a project and you know what it's supposed to feel like, but you haven't seen it done exactly the way you want. And you can see the hints of where you're at. They're closer to what it's supposed to feel like, but you're not there yet.
Yeah.
And like as you start to get closer, you get this momentum and you feel like, at least for myself, I feel like, okay, these 8 hours, like I'm getting there. And then like you said, especially with the internet being what it is, something takes off and you're like, okay, as much as I love this state of creating and seeing where it goes, like it's also the responsibility of my career to lean into this aspect that's now taking off and make sure that I don't just let that slip away.